Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. We're going to talk about our teams in this episode. There's been some off-season moves. There's been a few things here or there, and then, kind of a big time one that happened this past Thursday night on the 12th. But first, Lance, did you hear about the controversy?
What controversy, Andrew?
You seem kind of scared, concerned, and you should be because a well-renowned archaeologist just got fired. His career is in ruins.
That one wasn't too bad. Definitely a little bit of a softer putt. It's not the Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
The Luke on her
Mm-hmm.
face will definitely be one
Mm-hmm.
of my favorite. That one was good. You definitely got a good laugh out of me on that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you're committed to the bit, Andrew. Good for you, but
Yeah, that's all about. That's what it usually is all about. It's just the delivery. You gotta be confident, or sometimes catch people off their guard.
well, I think more than anything, I'm just over here constantly apprehensive because what does this mean? What on earth is going to be the
Hmm.
joke today? So that one didn't give me too much of an eye roll though. So that wasn't too bad. Um,
Okay. Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll take what we can get.
it's just a thing.
Just a thing.
So, but yeah,
Okay.
man, should we uh should we dig into our team's moves?
Yes, I think last time we did the Vikings first, so I think you should go first this round, and
Okay.
then we can end on the biggest news. Ooh.
Your team saved Andrew. That's what I heard.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the free agency period has been a rather unfun one for me as an Eagles fan because we
Mm-hmm.
lost a ton more players than we gained players. Um, just to like go through the list, we kind of talked about Nakobe Dean in the last episode. Farewell to
Right.
that dude. So sad to see him go. I was hoping we could keep him, but yeah, just all for naught. Jahan Dotson went for a 2 year, like $17 million contract. I was floored, man. I did not expect that at all. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he ended up signing for a contract that gets to cancel out, or not cancel out, but to go towards the comp pick formula, awesome. Well done. Jalen Phillips is gone. Uh, Congrats to the Panthers. You paid him $30 million a year. I hope that he will work out that way for you. I really do. I like the Panthers. I rooted for them last year when they got to the playoffs. I said they were a tougher team than people thought they were, so I stand by that. I just want to be on the record taking again the victory lap because a lot of people thought that I was silly for how much I like the Panthers, but then they went out and played like real dogs in the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what they look like here in year
Mm-hmm.
two of this experiment with Coach Dave. Sam Howell's going to the Cowboys. Sam, what are you doing? Because also, by the way, that means he has to go to the New York Giants because he has to complete the round robin in the NFC
Yeah.
East.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, we lost Matt Pryor. That's not a big loss to me. We kind of talked about Matt Pryor before in a past episode where I said that Jeff Stoutland stuck by him to continue to play in place for Lane Johnson. Brett Toth, that one's a bummer. He actually has gotten a lot better as a center. It would have been awesome
Mm-hmm.
to keep him. And then a couple of less like flyer news. Joshua Uche went to the Dolphins. Aziz Ojolari were these were like kind of throw darts at the wall signings last offseason. Neither one of
Mm-hmm.
those panned out, which was too bad.
Yeah.
The additions the Eagles signed, and this one was really off the radar, but Reek Woolen
Mm-hmm.
from the Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I that one's going to be really interesting because I have heard pretty much every possible story about Woolen out there this week. Some people absolutely love him. Some people absolutely despise him because of his
Mm-hmm.
character issues. I think he had 15 flags last year. which is a ton. That's going to be a problem. So
And it's not cheap. It's just a 1 year deal, but that's decent money. 15
it's
mil?
decent. It's decent money, but I would say a 1 year, $12 million deal is not terrible. Like let me put it this way. If we're gonna just go spend 1 year, 5 million or 3 million to get Adoree Jackson versus doing this,
Mm-hmm.
give me one every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm putting the two side by side, because that half measure effort absolutely creamed the Eagles. It just
Mm-hmm.
made life so hard for us because Adoree Jackson was never the cornerback we needed him to be. I mean, I talked about it
Mm-hmm.
last year several times, but there were so many plays where I was like, man, Adoree Jackson was like that close to making the play. And I kept saying it
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. And eventually you're like, you know what? He just doesn't have the step there. Something's missing. He didn't like drop off a cliff like James Bradbury did, but he's
Mm-hmm.
certainly going downhill. And like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the descent is gradual or great. If you can't keep up with the receiver you're covering, you can't do a ton. You're still
Yeah.
going to be giving up first downs. You're not going to be doing your job. He played better towards the end of the year, but it was still never great.
Mm-hmm.
This move, I think, honestly has the potential. I think it's also important to note this isn't the Byron Murphy signing the Eagles made back in 2015. That one was a bad decision because not only were you bringing in someone that was the number two in another spot, you expected him to come in and be your number one. That's not what the Eagles are doing here. Quinyon Mitchell's for sure the number one, and Reek one is kind of like quasi number two with Cooper DeJean.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of like it matters about expectations. He's
Yeah.
not coming in and being the main guy. He knows that he's playing a role on a team in the secondary. He's not the guy. So I think that does help a little bit with ego. Um,
Sure.
but we'll see what happens. One part I did want to note is that the Eagles have the former defensive coordinator of Week One back when he was a even better corner on the team, and that's Clint Hurt, who's our defensive line coach. So I think that the Eagles talked to Clint Hurt and asked him
Sure. Yeah.
before making that signing to think like, is this something we can really make work? I do think also another part that matters, Vic Fangio is back on the Eagles, and he doesn't get pushed around by his players. Um, i.e., go look at the Miami Dolphins news back when Vic Fangio was the supposed problem for the team. Oh, wait, he wasn't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I do think that Vic Fangio helps in that. Um, the other moves the Eagles made is they signed Johnny Munt, the tight end from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who they brought in specifically for a blocking purpose. I do want to just take a moment and express my condolences to Munt. Apparently, the Eagles missed the memo where you overpay your tight ends like the Los Angeles Chargers just did this offseason for Charlie Kohler, who I immediately, when he signed with the Chargers, said, Who?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like that Snoop
Mm-hmm.
Dogg gif. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I felt when he signed that
But hey,
contract.
I know Johnny Munt very well. He was with the Vikings for a few years.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's one of the best third tight ends in the league.
I heard who said that comment. Uh yeah, that's so funny. I heard that this week and I was like, that has to be the worst backhanded compliment
I
ever.
think KOC said that about him. He's like he's the best third tight end in the whole league. That's what KOC has said in press conferences about him before.
Yeah, I don't
So he's
know.
a professional that will do what's asked, but he doesn't have a ceiling. So that's why he's the best third tight end on any team.
Yeah. I think that the move makes sense because touching on your point, right, with the Vikings and their scheme and Sean Mannion coming in
Sure.
as the Eagles
Yeah.
OC, they
Hmm.
needed someone familiar. I loved how someone said that when a new offensive coordinator comes to town, Hire Roseman's like talking to them, being like, "Oh, who do you want this offseason?" But in his head, he's like, "I'm not going above $2 million. I'm not going to try my hardest to get them. So it's just going to take a flyer. That's it. I'm not the only
Hmm.
person I'm giving you offensive coordinator. I'm not going to spend any massive amount of money on someone that you want because I have my cap managed." So
Right.
this was the Sean Mannion like I need Johnny Munt signing. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't mind it. Blocking was a major problem for the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
I will not forget it, but in the 49ers playoff game, I don't know what Dallas Goedert was doing. He got in this weird Frogger stance and then just
I
got
remember that.
absolutely creamed.
I
And I was like,
remember that.
what are you doing? Like I saw that and yeah. So I do like that. The Eagles also did just sign a defensive end late yesterday. Um,
And they also picked up cornerback Jonathan Jones.
that's true.
So more depth there. I don't think he's going to super play on the field a little bit more depth, and depth's always good.
Yeah. And Ebiketie is the other one that they signed. He's from the Falcons.
Yes, the
So
linebacker. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I am of the opinion, Andrew, that the Eagles should go after your guys' defensive um, pass rusher specialist. So we'll see if they end up doing that. But that would be my
Yeah,
preference.
that's what reports are saying is that Eagles and Vikings are in deep talks with Jonathan Grenard. Now, what the compensation is the question because in this conversation, Edge definitely goes to Howie Roseman because he has done this a million times. He's a savvy, really good GM going up against the guy who's never been a GM before. That's interim, just a placeholder for now. We'll see if he keeps the job. So whenever I heard that we're talking with the Eagles, I'm like, man, I don't think we're about to like get demolished in this trade, but we're definitely going to lose because it's Howie Roseman, possibly the best GM against someone who's ever done it. If we were talking to anybody else, I'm like, well, we might slightly lose, but it'll be fine. But in this scenario, I'm like, if we give up a fourth round pick, I'm like, what are we doing? Or if we get a fourth round pick, because he is worth at least a second. But we'll see what Howie does, because Howie's going to do some Howie things.
Well, I think that how he's going to do is he's going to wait till the draft. He's going to wait till the draft, and he's going to wait out to see if he can get a trade where it's in the fourth, maybe fifth round, but I think it's going to be fourth. I think that's what he's going to push for, and we'll see what the Vikings decide to do.
Yeah, there's no way we should trade him for a fourth. That is just stupid and ridiculous. He's at least a second. I think the sticking point right now, last I heard, is that there's contract discussions to see if an extension can be decided upon before a trade is conceived because Grenard's also wanting a pay increase. That is the only reason why he's on the trade block, is because we can't really, any sense in the imagination, pay what he's asking. He's not asking for something astronomical. It's just we're paying him decent and we have Dallas Turner behind him. So why would we increase your pay? You're still signing for 2 years. And that's the other thing. This contract is very achievable because there's no guarantees left. So there's like no issues with that. But yeah, if we get anything less than a second, then we completely lost that trade because he's worth at least a second, probably second and some change, but not a fourth, not a third. That's crazy because if you look at pressures and you look at pressure rate, he is top five every single year. Now, last year he had a down year in sacks, but sacks isn't the end all be all because if you're getting a quarterback off his spot, you ended that down, you ended that play. And he did that so many times. He had probably, if this is a stat, it's not, but he probably led the league in almost sacks because it seems like every time he would chase the quarterback
We
down and the
won't we
quarterback would
won't put that on a card for you to mail out to
no,
everybody.
no, no. But he would chase a quarterback down, and the quarterback would just release the ball or escape the pocket and like throw it out of bounds. It seemed like over and over. You're like, come on. And I remember so many times Caleb Williams, Jonathan Grenard would get past his block immediately, be chasing Williams down, and Williams just dodges the sack and then gets rid of the ball. I'm like, oh, so frustrating. But yeah, I think he only had like 4 sacks, or maybe less than that. But he probably had like 40 almost sacks.
Again, we will not put that on a social media post for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
We'll see how that goes because I think there's also, I think the Patriots might be interested and the 49ers might be interested. But the deep talks that have been ongoing have been Vikings and Eagles for Gennard.
I think another part too that I would mention on that is I've heard that Josh Sweat is available from the Cardinals,
Oh,
and
okay. Already.
that yeah, I know. That yeah. So weird how that's all worked out.
Hmm.
But I think that that complicates the situation because now
Sure.
you have Max Crosby, Josh Sweat, and Grenard all competing for a market, which doesn't
Hmm.
help. If the Max Crosby situation was resolved, I think that favors the Vikings. But now because he's back with the Raiders, it doesn't favor them because that complicates the
Even though
market.
he claims he's going to stay with the Raiders now, but it's not his decision.
I mean, yeah, I think that that would be cool if he could stay. Um, but we'll see. We'll see if the Patriots really want to pay this level of financial um, commitments to all their players. I mean, it'd be a big deal. So, um, yeah, it's an interesting time for the pass rusher market. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I think that that's it for me on Eagles news. I mean, we're kind of just in a wait and see approach. I do think it's funny that people were pushing so hard for the Eagles to trade AJ Brown, and all I kept thinking in my head was, it's
Hmm.
not happening. It's not happening unless they get what they think they should. By the way, you said that Grenard is worth the second plus, so that means that AJ Brown must be worth the first plus, right?
I think they're both the same value, honestly. I
Interesting.
think Renard and
Even
AJ
even
Green have the
um,
same value.
even amid a down year for Grenard, which was notably simply more of a stats down year than AJ Brown.
AJ Brown had a down year too, and he has more off the field issues than Grenard. Grenard's a
Hmm.
huge locker room guy. So I think their value is pretty much the same. Like if you told me Grenard and AJ Brown were traded just straight up, which we don't need a receiver, but if you told me that happened, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Because they're both like the same age. They're both still, I wouldn't say they're both elite, but they're both really good. I think that their value is basically the exact same because edge rusher is the most important position on defense. Maybe the second most. You might say corner is more important, but I think edge rusher is number one. And then receiver is like the number two position on offense. So,
It's interesting you say that they're the same, but yet AJ Brown is a three-time second team All Pro, a three-time Pro Bowler, and Grenard has one Pro Bowl. I don't think
well,
that
that's
that's the
just
same.
voting. And receivers get votes much more
Uh,
than edge
the
rushers.
All Pro definitely matters. That
That does.
matters.
Yes, that
He
does.
has three All Pros. Like I did say one, he has three.
When's the last time he was on that? It wasn't last year.
2024.
Wasn't last year. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I don't know. I still think he has a first round value. Do I think he has a first round, second round value? That's a bit crazy, but we'll see if Howie, who I believe can absolutely pull off close to whatever
Sure.
he wants to pull off, could do
Hmm.
it. So yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm
Hmm.
hopeful, Andrew. Grenard to the Eagles for a fifth. Final offer. What if we give you a fifth
Maybe
this
his
year?
brother Stephen Grenard for a fifth. Sure.
We'll give you a fifth this year and a conditional sixth next year.
What about this? What about your second next year?
Oh, no, we can't do that, man. That is way too high. I'd rather give you a conditional fourth that could turn into a second.
No, it's second or more. That's where the conversation starts.
We'll see if that really happens. I've constantly heard from multiple reporters it's a third to fourth. That's what I've heard for the narrative, that it's
And
probably
well,
going to land there.
reporters like to misuse information because on the Minnesota side, reporters are saying that it could be more than we expected.
Hmm.
So both reporters are saying their narrative. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Hmm.
We'll see what actually happens. Whenever I heard that, I was like, I don't know if I believe that because you're dealing with Howie Roseman. He's not going to give up more than we expected. And we always, in the offseason, said probably about the value of a mid to late round, second round pick is what he's worth. Like in the 50s range. Pick
Hmm.
50 to 70 is what he's worth. That's what we always anticipated. And to hear that there's talks of higher than that, like, I don't know. And then on your side, there's talks of lower than that. I don't know. Each side's telling their own narrative right now. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, it's fine. You can continue to embrace the false narratives that you're hearing, and I'll just continue to embrace the true narratives I'm hearing.
Continue to tell yourself that.
All right, Andrew, we should get to news about your Vikings.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna fly through some basic just cap transactional stuff that just was obvious. So right out the gate, they restructured Justin Jefferson. They restructured Christian Darrisaw and they restructured Byron Murphy Jr. So those were just kind of obvious things to get under the cap because they were like 40 something million over. And then they redid the Hawkinson deal to lower his cap number. They didn't restructure it like that quote unquote was called, but they lowered his cap number, removed a year off of it. So he's a free agent next year and he's only making like maybe 14 million this year, which is fair because it was like 23. It was something stupid. So we lowered that. We also talked about cutting Aaron Jones, but I think we missed out because I think we had our eyes on like a Rico Dowdle or something like that, and we missed out. We didn't get him. So we brought Aaron Jones back on also a really lower deal that cut off his last year. So he's also a free agent next year. But we're only paying him 5.6 million this year, lowering down from like a 13 or 14. So that's really big help. We re-signed our linebacker Eric Wilson, which I really hoped we did because he just fit that Brian Flores system so well. It says it's a 3-year, $22 million deal, but it's more like a 1.5 year deal, which makes sense because he's like 32, I think. But as what we want from him, um, cover some passes, cover some routes, which he can do pretty well, and then go after the passer, and he does that great. So I really love that re-signing. We need some more linebacker depth, so I think we'll do that in the draft. But re-signing him was great. We kept some guys like Jalen Redmond, which was probably the biggest move we needed to happen because our D line was weak after our moves we made, but Redmond was awesome last year. So we kept him on an exclusive rights tender. We kept some other guys that doesn't really matter as much, like a Terrier Thomas and Andrew DePaula. Those are just like depth pieces and long snapper. So won't really touch on that. Guys we lost. We did lose Jalen Naylor, like we talked about last episode. I was kind of hoping we could keep him, but I didn't expect it. I figured someone was going to pay more than we were willing to pay, which just, that's cool. Congratulations, Jalen. You got a good bag. Go play for the Raiders, see what you can do there. Um, we lost our punter, which was kind of strange that the Saints would pay that high a price for a punter. I was like, oh, there was no way we're paying a 4-year deal of almost $20 million. I think it was like 16 or $17 million for a punter. No, we're good with that. Thanks. So now we don't have a punter, but that's fine. We'll pick somebody up. Um, we almost lost Andrew Paula, but we were able to get him back. He's our long snapper that I just mentioned. And then trying to think if there's anybody else we lost outside of our linemen. I thought there was one more. Can't remember. Oh, we did technically quote unquote cut Harrison Smith with a
Mhm.
post June 1st cut to spread his
Yep.
cap out. But that was like you said with Goddard, that's just to give him time. Because if we didn't cut him now, his contract was like fully guaranteed and just cut that contract, tell Harrison, hey, you decide. If you want to come back, we'll be happy to have you back. But it's your decision. We're just doing this as a transactional piece. That way it's not killing our books, kind of a thing, which I'm sure he understood. And with them doing that, I think it's more leaning toward the side of he is coming back rather than him not. Because it was all reported that this was just transactional to give him more time. This wasn't to say bye, happy retirement. This was to give him time to decide. So I think now, I'm not saying it's a great chance, but I'd say like 60-40, something like that, that he comes back rather
Mm.
than at the end of the season, it was probably like 80-20, he's retiring. But now I'm
Mm.
thinking, I don't know. I think that kind of switched. That'd be interesting to see. We can definitely use some safety help because behind him, there's not much. Now, our signings. Well, let me touch on our 2D linemen because we kind of mentioned one last time. So, Hargrave we cut, and he was posting on social media before he got cut that the Brian Flores scheme wasn't great for him, and that's the reason why he had a down year. There's some truth to that. I'm not going to totally dismiss it like some Vikings people are. There is a little truth to that because there was plenty of times watching the games where the D tackles would eat up linemen and the linebackers would shoot the gaps. So there's some truth to that, but still, you need to have better numbers than he did. And he
Hmm.
wasn't great against the run. The first game, week one, he had 2 sacks. We're like, oh, okay, we might have something here. He had 3.5 the whole year. So after week one, he had 1.5 for like 16 games. And he also missed a little time. He got dinged up. So it's kind of like, and his contract was just too much. When they signed that contract last year, it was kind of showing we're kind of pushing most of our chips in to see if this kid, McCarthy, can do it. Build the team around him. Let's see what we got. It made semi sense then, but McCarthy didn't do it last year. So now it's like, all right, we tried. Let's cut some bad contracts. Let's move on. Same with Jonathan Allen. I think he was a little bit better than Hargrave was last year. He showed a little bit more spurt, a little bit more fight, but his contract was still too high. And thank you, Bengals, for signing him for another decent deal. That way we can get rid of some of that offset language. So that helps. But with those 2 cuts, our D line is now hurting for some depth. I love Redmond. I love Levi Drake Rodriguez, but we just need more. So I'm assuming we're probably going to go in the draft for that because Minnesota has been very quiet in free agency, which was reported what was going to happen. They were not going to be big spenders. They were going to wait till like the second or third waves. So I'd assume the next 3 to 4 days, you're going to see Vikings sign this guy for 1 year, 4 million, sign this guy for 2 years, 9 million. Some guys like, oh, I kind of know that name. That name sounds familiar. Like, for instance, a DJ Reader. He's a fine D tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota signed him to like a 2 year, $10 million contract. Just, hey, get us some veteran lineman depth, get in here. That would make total sense. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Um, a guy we did sign, which this totally reminds me of Isaiah Rodgers last year. We signed cornerback James Pierre from the Steelers, 2 years, 8.5 million. This is like copy and paste of that same deal with Rodgers, where it's a corner that is kind of stuck in a depth chart that has really good players above him. But when he gets on the field, he just shows so much, and like his PFF grades and his coverage grades were great, but he just doesn't play enough to say he's a bona fide stud. So the team doesn't re-sign him, and Minnesota can sign him for cheap. It just makes total sense, and he's a great special teamer. So our cornerback depth was awful. Behind Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers, there was nothing. So now he is a really good three. I love that signing. Great deal. We have a good three. We can still draft a corner if someone falls to us or something, because our corner depth was just pretty weak. But with Pierre, it's like, okay, I wouldn't be upset if he was our second boundary corner and then Byron Murphy gets put into the nickel slot guy. That would make some sense. So I like that signing. Um, we still need more. We still need more D linemen. We probably need a safety. We need a wide receiver three, but all that can be done in the draft. We have, I think, 8 or 9 draft picks because we got that third round comp from
Third round
Darnold.
pick. Hmm.
Yeah. Which there was reports, which is this is why I am not a huge fan of counting on the comp pick formula because at the beginning of the offseason last year, when we're signing these guys and losing guys, everyone's saying, oh man, we did this offseason great. We're getting 3 comp picks next year. Didn't happen. We got one because there was offsetting in some stuff. Some players didn't play enough, like Daniel Jones, for example, with him getting hurt. He didn't play enough. So we didn't get a comp pick for that. And then we picked up Eric Wilson, which we thought was just going to be a special teamer. He played really well. So he offset one of our other losses. So that just happens. Comp pick for him is good to try, but you can't count on it. So we have one comp pick coming for Sam Darnold, the highest comp pick, the third round, like 97, I think. Um, so that's cool. But now, all that being said, let's get to the big news of Thursday night. So all off season, and we've recorded this and touched on this, it was reported majorly that Minnesota is going to add a quarterback. That makes sense because, we had Carson Wentz and Mac Brosmer, and Wentz is a free agent and he's recovering from almost dying. And Max Brosmer wasn't good enough to be a two, maybe not even good enough to be a three. So that made sense. And I was always pushed the narrative of Geno Smith or Kirk Cousins if they accepted that offsetting language minimum contract, which Geno would have. Kirk, it's hard to say because he likes to make some money, and his offsetting was only 10 million. So he might say, no, I'm worth more than 10. So that might have been the sticking point there. But that was what I was saying all offseason. Get a savvy veteran behind McCarthy. That way they can maybe teach him some things. And McCarthy's been a little bit on the injury prone side. Get someone in there that you know can run the offense, that is not afraid to throw the ball deep or it's really good over the middle and you can run a complicated offense. And Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith just fit that bill. And all offseason has been reported that the highest option is Kyler Murray, and the Kyler Murray highest option is the Vikings, and it's a done deal. And I just did not want that to be the case because it didn't really make sense schematically. And lo and behold, first domino to fall is Geno Smith gets traded to the Jets, which was a stupid move. I was so confused with that. I was like, what are you doing, Jets? First, you make a good deal trading a seventh for Minka Fitzpatrick. I thought that was great. Well done. And then you go and get Geno Smith for a pick swap of a seven and a six. Just so dumb. The only reason why they did that is because they know when free agency starts, no quarterback's going to choose to go to the Jets. Only way they can get a quarterback on their team is by forcing it by that player not having a choice in a trade. So that is the only reason why they did it, and the only way they're able to do that is by overpaying, which sucks for us. Which I don't even fully know if we truly were interested in Geno Smith because this Kyler Murray signing happened way too quickly and just too like organically and flew him in for a physical, talked to him, then all of a sudden we had a press conference right after. It just so we signed Kyler Murray for the minimum deal of $1.3 million dollars. So just black and white, that's awesome. You know, Kyler Murray, first round pick, we're paying him a million
Hmm.
bucks. That's great. That's a great black and white on paper deal, but it does not fit our system. Our system is complicated passing routes in under center with some shotgun, but under center a lot, throwing downfield. All of that is not Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has to be in shotgun because he's short and he is a scramble, figure things out, make things happen kind of a player, not on script. And his downfield passing the past few years has been worst in the league as far as qualified quarterbacks, like expected points added, completion percentage, all that stuff. And you can't say, well, he didn't have any receivers. Marvin Harris Jr. has a ton of talent. They had guys. Zach Ertz was on the team. McBride was on the team. They had guys on that team that he could throw the ball to. In the past like 3 or 4 years, his downfield passing was the worst in the league. So it doesn't fit the system. Now, if you're telling me that stubborn KOC is finally going to decide to change his system, I could be interested to see how that works, but I don't think that's going to happen because when he did change the system for McCarthy last year, he was grumbling and complaining the whole time. We were winning, but he was grumbling and complaining the whole time. So I just don't see that in him. I don't see
Yeah.
him fully changing his system for a quarterback that needs it. And my biggest fear, which I think there's a decent chance at this, is he's going to give his playbook that he has to Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray can't run that because A, he can't play out of under center because he's too short to see the field, and B, he does not wait for these complicated patterns. He's going to scramble outside the pocket, run for 4 yards, and KOC is going to be frustrated. That's my biggest fear. Could it change because they have the full offseason to figure it out? Maybe, but I just don't see it happening. My only type of hope that happens is they get to camp and KOC sees, oh man, Murray isn't understanding my playbook very well. He's not seeing things happen. And then McCarthy's over there, the second team, dealing, wheeling and dealing. And maybe the KOC sees something like, maybe we need to put McCarthy back at one. And then Kyler Murray is going to be super upset. All right, sure, just trade him. Someone will trade for a 1 year, $1.3 million dollars for a quarterback at the beginning of the year. Do I see that happening? No. But that's my only hope in this situation because I just don't see Kyler Murray's style of football fit with the Vikings. And my biggest concern is, again, I mentioned this might just because it's Marvin Harrison Jr. He might have the issue, but Kyler Murray did not have good chemistry with his number one receiver. Is that going to happen with his number one of the top three best receivers in this league with Justin Jefferson? That can't happen. If that happens, we need to cut him now, and we only lose $1.3 million dollars. So I have concerns with this. I know Kyler Murray is a fun talent. He likes to scramble. He's really athletic, but he just doesn't fit what we do. Especially with us trying to be more run heavy. Kyler Murray needs to spread it out, have like receivers everywhere so we can see the field better. So I don't know. Like I was saying, the only good positive news out of this is we can finally quit talking about Aaron Rodgers going to call KOC and say, "Hey, I can play for you." Well, now we have no room for that. That's the only positive news out of this. And my only hope is that JJ McCarthy can beat out Kyler Murray. But I don't know that's going to happen because in the press conference that Kyler Murray had, which, man, I don't know if I really like his personality so much. It's just one press conference, so I got to give it time. But he was just very short with his answers. Very like, I'm just excited to compete. I want to get out there on the field and compete. Yeah, I love KOC. Can't wait to compete with him. That was his answer every single time. And he was asked, like his first question, do you expect to start? And he kind of smirked and he was like, I can't wait to compete. Come on. It's just so annoying. So we'll see how it goes. But that's my thoughts on the Kyler Murray signing. Not super excited, even though there's some fans that are, and all the national media is like, "Oh, this is a great move." I don't know. I have
Yeah,
a lot of concern with this.
it's definitely interesting. I have a feeling that KOC is opening up a Pandora's box here, and you can't put it back together. I
Hmm.
I'm miffed, man. I don't understand why he's belling on McCarthy. I
Yeah.
just I know I set that meme that you kind of like rolled your eyes at slightly. The Principal Skinner, like, am I the problem? No, the kids are the problem type of a.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it's am I to blame for the offensive faults? I don't know. I feel like that KOC is doing a little bit of the it's McCarthy, and we just needed to bring in a competent quarterback. And I don't think it's that simple. I think that there were
Hmm.
definitely miscues by the offense overall, just from a scheming standpoint. And also the fact that they're going with Aaron Jones again at running back is just a little weird to me. I think that that is a
Only way that makes sense is if they draft someone. I don't. I now it's a pipe dream for Jeremiah Love. I don't think that's going to happen. But there are other backs out there in the second and third round that could supplant Aaron Jones.
possibly,
So
yeah,
that's the only thing I can see with that because you need three running backs on your team, and we only had Jordan Mason. I mean, we re-signed Xavier Scott, but he's more like a practice squad guy. Um, so we only had Jordan Mason, and I know they were looking at like the Rico Dowdles, these guys, and the Kenneth Gainwells. They just didn't get them. They just signed elsewhere. So okay, well, let's bring Aaron Jones back. He's a savvy veteran. He's really good in the locker room, and then we'll try to draft a guy. That's the only way that makes sense, and I'm hoping that's what they do. Again, I don't expect Jeremiah Left. That's like a 1% chance. But could we get like a Jonah Coleman or a Mike Washington Jr.? I could
maybe,
see that, and that could be our 1B to Jordan Mason's 1A, and I'd be fine with that. And then Aaron Jones fit in there a little bit occasionally because you want to play a little bit, but him as our two, no, I don't want Aaron Jones as our two, but just play a little bit with our rookie getting some snaps. That's what I would expect at least. But with this Kyler Murray deal, 1 year, $1 million, this is like a deal that you try to push all your chips in, go all in. And Minnesota signed one other guy this offseason. It just makes no sense. Why would you sign Kyler Murray for a 1 year deal with no trade, with no not trade clause, but with no tag clause
tag,
in his contract? So you can't
yeah,
tag him. So he's most likely gone next year because unless he plays out of his mind and we want to sign him to a big long contract, which I don't expect, I expect him to have an average year. Minnesota win about 9, 10 games at most. Flirt with a wild card, either make it or not. We'll see. We'll see what the draft does and what our team looks like. But back to what we were. And we're not going to re-sign Kyler Murray for that. So why are we wasting a year? If we're doing that, let's let McCarthy get another year under his belt, see if he truly is the guy, because this is the last year of this deal that you truly can get out of. If he's not the guy, give him a shot. If he's not the guy, then you probably had a pretty poor season. You can get like a top 12 draft pick, and next year's draft has a ton of good quarterbacks. But
yeah.
with this move, you're making sure your team is like the Steelers, mediocrity, 8, 9 wins,
That's a great way
maybe
to
10 at
compare it.
most, and getting a 17, 18 draft pick where you don't have a great chance at a quarterback next year. And you still don't know about McCarthy because you didn't get a chance to play him. So it just makes no sense all the way around.
Yeah. You're selling the boat on McCarthy. That's what you're doing. I don't see how you're not doing that. And
And there's been some weird talks about some behind the scenes personality issues with them, which I don't get. Maybe there is, but that's been coming out of the facility too. Like they don't like his personality. He's not learning the playbook quick enough. He has issues. It's like, what is this coming from? Why would you say that if you're
uh,
trying to get out of the McCarthy contract and trade him? Because now no one's gonna, his value is gonna be tanked with you talking
yeah,
so low of him.
I don't
Just
know.
makes no sense.
I feel like this sounds a little bit like the Jared Goff situation in Los Angeles. And in the end, the Matt Stafford trade worked out, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee you're going to find a quarterback that's going to magically make your system work better.
Hmm.
I don't know. And if this is what they think that this is going to be the type of effect that Murray's going to have, I don't know. And also this is another part that I have to acknowledge though is the discipline issues were there for Murray, and I'd say even worse. I mean, have written in your contract stipulations about gameplay and making sure you're managing your
Hmm.
time wisely. Like seriously, like you have to have that written in your contract. Um, I don't know, man. If you're telling me that discipline and being locked in is an issue, you had two other options on the market, whether it be a trade or, a competent quarterback that could have come in and filled
Hmm.
that gap. Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith. And Geno Smith went for 3 million. So why would you not even look at Geno Smith when he went for so little to go to New York? You can't tell me that finances is like a barrier.
Yeah, that's why I don't think they truly were interested, which is crazy to me. But there was reports that yeah, they were on the radar, but with I believe the Raiders still taking most of that contract, and the Jets get him for cheap. That was on the table. You could have done that, but the Vikings didn't do it. So I believe they truly weren't interested. I think inside the building, it was only Kyler Murray, which doesn't make any sense. The
Bad
only
move,
way it
man.
makes sense is if KOC can get out of his own way and completely change his offense. That's the only way it makes sense, but I just don't see that happening because last year he was complaining so much when he had to dumb down the offense, and the offense was moving the ball, scoring points. We were winning games when he did that, and he was grumbling the whole time.
I don't know, man. I move the hot seat up though for KOC as a
Yeah,
result of this move. I think you have to,
that's fair.
because he's
Yeah,
he's
this
sailed
is
his ship
him.
on McCarthy,
Hmm.
and
Yep,
man, I just cannot believe how I really like. I mean this in all respect, Andrew, because I like your team, but I think this is a dumb move.
I agree. I agree. I don't see it. I don't see it. Now, I was joking in our chat. Do I rather have Kyler Murray than Aaron Rodgers? Yes, but it's still not like I want Kyler Murray. I
I
just
mean,
really don't want Aaron Rodgers.
to me, it's just like it's like comparing dying to uh, going bankrupt. Like, okay, yeah, you would rather be bankrupt than die, but like just because
Yeah,
that alternative
neither
is
are a good
better
option.
doesn't mean that's what you want.
No, neither are a good option at all.
Uh, just yeah, man, I don't get it. We'll see.
Hmm.
I know that people are raving about the fact that he's with Jefferson and Addison. It's possible. It could work out really well. I have my concerns. I definitely have my
Me too.
concerns about how well this is going to work out. So we'll see.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see. And there's still some free agency time period left. There's still the draft, but yeah, I'm not a fan. Um, but I think that's all I got. I got my
Okay.
complaints off my chest. We'll see how it goes going forward. Um, but still a lot more fun to talk about this offseason because even though I strongly disagree with the move, I still love to talk football and I love to talk about my team, even if they're going like 8-9 this year and missing the playoffs. Which you know what's going to be ironic, and this is my last statement before we wrap up here, is JJ McCarthy went 6-4 as a starter last year. Watch Kyler Murray have a worse starting season than JJ McCarthy, and I'm gonna just be laughing so hard when he goes like I don't know, like 5-12.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
don't know what to say. It's going to be
And the other
interesting.
part is now you have two quarterbacks on your team that are injury prone. Kyler Murray's hurt a lot.
Well,
JJ
now you're
McCarthy's hurt a
set
lot.
because clearly one's just going to start one half of the season and the other one's going to start the other half of the season. You're fine.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Sorry. I wish I could cast a silver lining here. I can't. I just can't do it in good
Yeah,
conscience.
the only silver lining I have is no Rodgers. That's the only silver lining.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that's all. That's all we got. Um, we'll get more into this more into free agency and more into the draft. But thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.
We'll see everybody.